The Wharf by Paul Ryan. Emu Plains, 2750.
Narrated by David Tredinnick.
The Broome Museum once served as the customs house which oversaw the operations of the pearling industry in the decades before World War II. Its long veranda and low-sloping red corrugated iron roof give it a colonial look, and the absence of guttering and downpipes is a testament to the futility of attempting to manage drainage during the wet season. A wing of the museum is a large shed, painted a ghostly white and built in 1897. The words "Sea Bag, Sailmaker" stand out in large lettering, as if the shop is still open for business. Both buildings are restored and now house multiple exhibits and treasures that take you back 150 years. Photos in the museum depict haughty pearling masters in white linen suits, anxious-looking Japanese divers, and some of the fragile pearling luggers that proved no match for cyclones, but at one stage numbered over 400 registered vessels. In these halcyon days, up to 3,000 Asiatic divers and their crews would be patronising Broome's pubs, brothels and gambling dens during the lay-up months over Christmas each year. I am confronting this past in a real sense as I touch the full diving suit with its bell helmet, and then the decompression chamber that no doubt saved many a diver who might otherwise have died from the paralysing bends. I also marvel at the craftsmen whose beautifully worked scrimshaw engravings, inked into the luminous mother-of-pearl shells, probably sat on the mantelpieces of those proud pearling masters. But Broome's history has a more nightmarish chapter, and it is this that has brought me into the museum, and indeed Broome itself. I am on an emotional, personal pilgrimage, trying to connect with a war veteran father, and to find the meaning of a story he told his then young son before he died. The museum has photos, eyewitness accounts, documents and profiles that have helped me to understand the full story. On the 3rd of March 1942, Japanese Zeros in a surprise raid, flying from Timor, bombed Broome's Roebuck Bay in a terrifying attack that took the lives of about 100 souls, many of them women and children. These victims were Dutch refugees who were being evacuated from the Dutch East Indies, as well as Allied military personnel assisting them. My father was there on that day. Many soldiers who fought in World War II kept their stories to themselves. My father, who served in the Air Force as a ground crew member refuelling planes, was one of them. Straining my childhood memories, all I could remember were words such as Roebuck Bay, oil slicks, Catalina flying boats, Japanese planes, bomb shelters. A number of years ago, visiting Darwin, where he also served, I scanned its sweeping harbour and imagined what it must have been like for the poor sailors and wharf labourers who looked out and may have thought it strange that flocks of terns were appearing on the morning horizon, and then realised with horror that they were Japanese planes. As I now stand on the long timber wharf at Town Beach on Roebuck Bay, a short walk from the museum, I now imagine how those present on that March day in Broome might have felt. They would have heard the Zeros before they saw them. Coming from behind, the planes flew over Cable Beach and across the red Pindon sand dunes, taking those helpless victims in Roebuck Bay completely by surprise. Roebuck Bay is a broad expanse of aquamarine water with fast-moving tides that can ebb and flow dramatically over a few hours. Where I now stand, the tide is racing out, and soon I am hoping to see the remains of the wreckage of the Catalina boat and the other planes that lie half buried in the mudflats. The photos in the museum show a cockpit, fuselage and engine parts, relics of that day. It is a solemn sight now, protected as a war grave by the Western Australia Heritage Act of 1990. I'm channeling my father now as I stand at the end of the wharf that seems to reach into the bay like a stretched arm reaching back in time. What would my father have felt as he raced to the wharf on that day? Helplessness as he watched the Japanese Zeros strafe the area and drop their bombs? Was he wishing the Catalina seaplanes, full of the Dutch evacuees, had taken off to the safety of Perth half an hour earlier? Was he feeling fear as he thought of self-preservation and tried to remember where the bomb shelter was? Or would it have been compassion as he wondered how best to assist the victims? I wonder what I might have done. The tide has continued to race out, and now I can see, through my binoculars, those ragged fragments emerging from the mud, periscoping out of the past and chilling my blood. I take away my binoculars to wipe my eyes and glance up to see a heavy-winged osprey on its way to a nest somewhere. Its slow flight reminds me of the lumbering Catalina. Suddenly, in the sky appear 3 black kites, predators circling threateningly. The metaphor seems too uncanny as I think of the Japanese Zeros that came with similar purpose and menace. My pilgrimage is now complete, and I walk back along the wharf to a little park where stands a poignant memorial to the victims. The past and present collide as I read their names and harrowing details from the survivors. Struggling with emotions of anger and sadness, I take comfort when I find the words of former Prime Minister Robert Menzies written on the monument. It is a simple yet sometimes forgotten truth that the greatest enemy to present joy and high hopes is the cultivation of retrospective bitterness. I feel my father would have agreed.
The end.